Hey there, welcome to The Hot Slice, the weekly podcast brought to you by Pizza Today magazine. I'm your host, Jeremy White, editor-in-chief of Pizza Today, joined today by Denise Greer, who is the executive editor of Pizza Today. Hey, Denise.
Hey Jeremy, hello. Guess what? We are post Pizza Expo. Can you see the
Yep,
grin, the happiness on my face that I'm re-energized having seen all of our pizza folks in
yep,
Las Vegas.
yep.
I'm so ecstatic.
Same here. It was an amazing event. We always return from Las Vegas just really pumped up and, as you said, re-energized. So it was a lot of fun, and we met some really cool people in Vegas, as we always do, and we actually met some people from a very iconic pizzeria in New Haven, Connecticut. So I know you're going to talk about them.
Yeah, so before I left for Pizza Expo, I wanted to reach out to a certain pizzeria in New Haven, Connecticut that turns 100 this year. We're talking about Frank Pepe's Pizza Napoletana. And so I was able to, before I left to go to Pizza Expo, secure an interview with Kevin Gagliard, and he is the VP of operations there at Frank Pepe's. So we get to talk about everything Frank Pepe's. And I got to tell you, you know as well as I do, for me, that New Haven is like, I went to another level when I went to New Haven and tried New
Yeah.
Haven pizza. I had never had anything like New Haven, and it became, I kid you not, my favorite pizza. And that is no exaggeration. I love New Haven style pizza.
Yeah, I love it too. People who grew up on the West Coast, grew up in the Midwest, in Texas, what have you. There's still some consumers who haven't even heard of New Haven Pizza or certainly haven't had one. And when you do have one, it is mind-bending, eye-opening. It's a foodie religious experience to say the least. And yeah, I quickly converted to a New Haven fanatic myself. I'm a big fan of kind of the plain pie, just the red pie, and I know that
Mhm.
we'll talk about that a little bit, but there's such simplicity in the style, and
Mhm.
it's a very thin style, cooked in a coal oven, and it's just an amazing pizza.
Yeah, and you and I both know that because we've both been to Frank Pepe's, and it is a pilgrimage to go to the start of this style, and to just it's just we talk about it a little in the podcast, what a unique experience it is just to watch everything happening when you walk in that building, because you're walking in a piece of history, and it's a really beautiful thing to walk into.
Yeah, there aren't many pizzerias that have been around for 100 years, and there aren't many pizzeria. It's a small exclusive list. If we were to name really iconic pizzerias that any pizza enthusiast should hit in their lifetime, it's a small and exclusive list, and there's no doubt this one is on it.
Well, it's so cool. So let's jump into our conversation with Kevin, because we get into the nitty gritty. We're Pizza Today. We're going to talk business too, not just pizza. So we get into a lot of the business of Pepe. So if you want to know how to be around for 100 years, maybe Kevin will give you some tips.
Let's do it.
Are you ready to elevate your bakeware game? Spokane, Washington-based Lloyd Pans is the trusted name for professionals and home chefs alike. For over 40 years, Lloyd Pans has been creating innovative food service, bakeware, and pizza pans and tools designed to deliver perfect results every time. Whether it's crispy golden pizza crusts or perfectly baked pastries, Lloyd Pans' durable, stick-resistant, and proprietary pan finishes are a game changer. Visit lloydpans.com to explore our full lineup and find your perfect pan today. Need shipping quotes or custom products? Email sales@lloydpans.com for personalized service. Performance Food Service is proud to deliver high-quality products, innovative technology, and custom operational solutions to restaurants of all sizes across the country. The flagship division of Performance Food Group, with deep roots in the restaurant industry, Performance Food Service has been the exclusive distributor of the Roma family of brands for more than 65 years. This signature relationship has allowed Performance Food Service to become a leader in the pizza and Italian segment of food service nationwide.
Hi, Kevin. Welcome to the Hot Slice. We're happy to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So the first thing that I notice is I go to your website and there is a ticker on your website, a countdown to your 100-year celebration. We really have got to talk about it. So tell us about this 100-year celebration of Frank Pepe's.
We're very excited about it. Frank and Philomena came into this country and they in the early 20s, and they started the pizzeria on Wooster Street in New Haven in 1925. And it since has gone down to their daughters, and then it went down to their daughters' kids, which is the current grandchildren that own the company. And there's actually a couple more generations, but right now the stewards of the company are the Frank Pepe grandchildren. There's two families because he had two daughters, the Rosellis and the Bamontes. And they're very, very Italian, and they are very passionate about their grandfather's legacy. And the passion is about making that perfect pizza just as their grandfather made for the last 100 years. The technology changes, the world changes, so many things change, but there's one thing that hasn't changed is the way we make that pizza for the last 100 years.
That is awesome. And so what I find is amazing is I look at the history of Frank Pepe's, and for the longest time, it was just there in New Haven. And then in 2006, I think they finally expanded outside of New Haven, and now you have 17 locations. Based on your knowledge, tell us a little bit about that evolution and kind of bringing Frank Pepe's and really that New Haven style pizza to the rest of the United States.
That was this generation of owners, the Frank Pepe grandchildren, that decided that they would expand, and they started very slowly and very strategically. Their first location was in Fairfield, Connecticut, and Frank Pepe's has always been a valuable member of whatever community that they participate in. They want to be the employer of choice. They want to create opportunities, and they want to continue to pass that legacy on. So as the world grows, we felt if we expanded, we could keep offering our employees new opportunities to grow into management and leadership. And that's how we've done it. And we strategically grew. We have 8 locations in Connecticut, 3 in Massachusetts, 1 in Rhode Island, 2 in the DC metro area, Alexandria, Virginia, and Bethesda, Maryland. And we have 2 in Florida and 1 in New York. So we are at 17 locations. We will never be like opening 5 locations in 1 year because we are so passionate about keeping the quality and keeping the product top notch. We just slowly expanding so the company can grow, so we can continue to grow those opportunities and be the employer of choice wherever we do business. So it's been an amazing ride the last 20 years as we've expanded, and we've been very fortunate to be able to replicate that Wooster Street, New Haven pizza and bring it out to other major areas of the country. And we've gotten a lot of recognition being in our 100th year, and we always stay very humble here. We always say we are only as good as our last pizza.
That's awesome. Kevin, I had a question for you about being an employer of choice. We'll definitely talk more about the 100th and what you're doing, as that's quite a huge deal. But, being an employer of choice is not always as easy as some may make it sound. What are some of the specific steps and actions that you take that make your employees want to stick around and be a part of what you are doing?
This is something that's very passionate to my heart. I myself grew up in the restaurant business. I joined the company 10 years ago when they were at store number 8 as a manager. And we just create the training. Restaurant industry is a very fast paced industry. It can be a very transit industry.
Yeah.
But what we try to do is create that culture and where we take our own employees. 70% of our managers are promoted from within. We obviously have been expanding rapidly, so they have to hire some people from the outside. But
Yeah.
that's one of our testaments that we're very proud of. And we're creating opportunities. You come here to make pizzas or serve pizzas or work a counter. We have dishwashers that are now general managers. And it's all about training and leadership. And people will always come to work for people that they believe, that have their back, that treat them with respect. And the family, when we expanded, they wanted that feeling to continue throughout the future. And that's one of the things that I focus on as the operations person for the family, is making sure the cultures in all the restaurant people are growing and learning and reaching what they need in their own career. You show up to make a pizza, you end up with a career. It's happened over and over again. We're very proud of that.
That's amazing. I think about, because Jeremy and I have both been to Frank Pepe's in New Haven, and it is such an experience to go to the restaurant. How were you able to kind of replicate that in the other locations as you have expanded? What are those elements that were important to make sure you got right with the locations?
When we decided to expand, we got a father and son team that we knew very well, and they are masonry people. And they took a schematic of the oven 20 plus years ago before we opened that first location in Fairfield, Connecticut. So everything starts with the oven. It's an exact schematic of the New Haven oven. We build it brick by brick at all our locations, and then we finish the restaurant with general contractors around to make it the Pepe's that we have, that you see so many places. We have the same colors and decorum as Wooster Street. And then we have to season the oven. So we don't set a date when we're going to open these restaurants.
Oh, yeah.
We decide to open these restaurants after we've seasoned the oven. So we actually start lighting the fire, drying out those bricks. Everything starts with the oven. Now, I spoke of our people growing up throughout the company. Our quality director, Chris Dioria, grew up in Frank Pepe's on Wooster Street. He was a busser 17 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And Gary Bamonte, one of the grandchildren that is passed in 21, worked with him for a decade, just transferring that knowledge of product. Chris now has a team of Fizzolis under him that go around to all the restaurants and work with the pizza makers and make sure the quality is made, where the dough is made fresh every day. The sliced whole milk mozzarella that is just made for us is sliced on site every day. We get the pecorino romano from Italy imported. We grate it on site. And then we have our own tomatoes that are grown in Italy that the family will taste once a year to make sure they're the perfect sweetness and the perfect consistency. And those are all canned up for us and shipped over from Italy. So we are just, replicating the same historical pizza that Frank Pepe started making 100 years ago. And there's a huge team of people that are dedicated and passionate about it. And pizza is made by very passionate people. That's what New Haven is known for. And we go into these communities and we find people and we teach them the legacy, the history, and what they're doing. They're not just coming to a job. They're trying to create an experience for each guest to eat the best pizza they've ever eaten and enjoy the atmosphere.
So talk about the 100 year, obviously that's phenomenal. As you know, many pizzerias struggle to make it to even one or 2 years, right? And making it 20 years is a huge deal. 50 years, huge deal. 100 is just it's very unheard of. There are a handful of pizzerias in the United States that have operated for 100 or more years. You're right there in that elite company. To operate for 100 years is just insane. What are you doing to celebrate it this year? I know you've got some things planned for June. What exactly are you going to do to celebrate turning 100 years old?
Well, we've been celebrating the employees all the way up until, we've had different events for them. The June event is kind of the pinnacle of everything.
Hmm.
We are going to name the street corner um, near in right across from the restaurant. We're naming it Frank and Philomena Way. So we're working with the city of New Haven, and we're going to honor the family by naming that corner. You don't rename a street; you just name a corner. Um, and we are also having an event for our rewards members. We have a rewards program where we know our most regular guests throughout the 17 locations, and we will invite those guests for a daytime event on the 21st of June, and those guests will be invited. It'll be a festival type of feeling, and then at night we're doing a VIP party that's more of a formal party where people like me will be able to bring our wives or family and the family itself, which is a very large Italian family. They'll be bringing grandchildren and fifth generation great grandchildren, and that's a celebration of the owners and the people that this brand has meant the most to. Because if you go down to the New Haven location, we have employees that have worked for us. One guy is 44 years, John, he's been with us the longest. Other people are all 30 years, 20 years. When I go in that building, I have 10 years. I'm still the new guy.
Hmm.
But we're just celebrating our people and having a lot of fun. We've had a lot of different inquiries of people such as yourself that like to hear our story, and we love to share it. We're very proud of it.
What are some of those key moments that you're really excited to share with folks, especially if they don't know exactly, they know Frank Pepe's, but they maybe don't know the treasured history you have. What are those key moments that you're looking to share?
We just like to share the story of the legacy and how it's the ultimate American dream. Yeah, Frank Pepe came over here. He was a bread baker initially, and he was in the Spot, which is the location right next to the New Haven main building. There's a small location right there. Eventually, he added the main building in 1937, and everything moved over there, and it became a much bigger operation. But he was making bread, and his fellow camaraderie guys that were there were like, Frank, let's throw sauce and cheese on it just like we did at home. And he started doing it. It's very popular instantly. And his wife, Philomena, was kind of like, like, okay, hey, like we got bills to pay here. We got things to do. Like, let's start a pizzeria and let's start selling our pizza to the community and be part of the community. And Frank was the passionate pizza maker, with his wife doing the accounting and stuff. And then he had his daughters working in there, and then the current family, the grandchildren, they were all part of it, and they just kind of grew up in the restaurant business, and we've blossomed over the years. So it's like the all-American tale. You came over from Italy, and were trying to figure out things in the 20s, and he made a great pizza, and he had a passion for it and a talent. I have to tell you, making pizzas is a skilled position. Anybody can make a pizza, but to really obsess about every little aspect of the pizza, meaning you're making the dough at night and you're proofing it overnight, and then you only use it for 24 hours. And then you use like farina that keeps the air pocket between the dough, so it's perfectly cooked. And then that nice signature char around there. We're using coal-fired ovens, so there's no dial on that oven. If you get into trouble or it gets busy where you can turn that oven up 100 degrees, you're managing it the old way by by rotating the fire and the coals and adding new coal onto it. So there's a lot of key elements that go into a Pepe's pizza.
I'm
Yeah, there
curious.
really is. And I'm glad that you mentioned the skill involved because
Yeah.
you're absolutely correct that anyone can make a one-off pizza, but to make pizza, multiple pizzas quickly in a professional setting, day in and day out, it is a skill and it evolves over time. The more you do it, the better you get. But not just anyone can walk off the street and today make 120 pizzas from, 7 to 9 p.m. on a Friday night. There's just no way.
Yes, one of those ovens will be producing about 80 pizzas per hour.
Mhm.
The New Haven site has 3 ovens on site. Some of our locations have 2. Most of our locations have 1 oven.
Mhm.
But you're talking about a 10-hour day where you're looking at, making 700 pizzas um, in a day. So that's 80 pizzas per hour. That's quite a lot of dedication and hard work. Our
Mhm.
pizza makers are just built strong. It's not an easy job. You have a lot of pressure. You have to hit the times of people ordering takeout. The like I said, the technology changes over the years. But the way you order pizzas online, if somebody shows up, they want their pizza at 12 o'clock. They don't want to wait till 12:20. So there's a lot of science behind the timing all the pizzas and making sure the oven isn't overused, because then you wouldn't get that signature charred crust that we are so passionate about making with all of our pizzas.
Yeah. I think about like the fact that a lot of pizzerias, when they get to be, 15, 20 years old, they have this problem with, staying relevant in their markets. But here, Frank Pepe's is 100 years old and it just becomes more relevant, I feel like, because as New Haven style pizza has actually grown in popularity, that you've been able to just expand your reach.
Yes, that's a testament to the family, because I believe that what they did is it's all about the pizza with Frank Pepe's. We have a couple of salads and a couple of desserts, but the entree is the pizza, and it's all about making that passionate pizza, one pizza at a time. You can put 2 pizzas on the peel. It's called a peel that the pizza makers put it down on. We don't look at it as, you have to make 600 pizzas today. We tell them you have to make 2. You just have to do it 300 times perfectly.
No pressure.
No pressure.
I love that.
We
I
don't
love
want to be everybody to we don't want to be everything to everybody. We want to be their, pizza that they remember, that experience when you come into our restaurants. You have the oven there, you have the pizzolis making the pizzas, throwing them in the air. You get to see the whole show. They're flipping the fire. You see the hot coals. So, I've always referred to it like it's an experience when you come see us. You're not just sitting down at a table and eating a pizza. We want you to have the whole experience from New Haven that we're known to do since the 1920s, and we're very proud of that.
Yeah, there's an entire choreography there to watch. It's like this nice little dance. You can just sit there waiting on your pie and just watch the buzz, feel the energy. Like you said, see them stoke the fire. It's really a fun experience for the customer. They're not just waiting bored by any means. They have plenty to
it.
watch while they're waiting.
And that's why we had to expand it out and we had to share it. And the family's a very proud family, and they're very proud of what New Haven has become as like one of the most talked about pizza hubs in the United States. And
Mhm.
we're part of that, and we're very honored to be part of it.
As you should be. Very well said.
Yeah, I can think about Frank Pepe as being like the first one to introduce things like the clam pizza. Um, how is the menu today? Does it stay just true to the roots, or have you brought in some new toppings, new style to it? Not style, but new
You,
energy.
we've done some things over the years. I'll tell you that we're always looking for that next hit.
Mhm.
Okay, so that pizza that you referred to, the clam pizza, came out in the 60s. And that was when it really started to like take off, where the family, Frank himself was like, wow, this is starting to become a thing because they made the white clam pizza. They back in the day they used to shuck cherry stone clams at the original location on Wooster Street. And again, somebody had an idea and said, hey Frank, why don't we cut these clams up and try them on a pizza? And he just did that pizza is just the freshly shucked clams with the pecorino romano, a little bit of olive oil blend drizzle, a little tiny bit of oregano for flavor on that fresh dough cooked in the coal-fired oven. So you're getting what a Pepe's pizza is it's all the natural flavors of whatever you're consuming. So you're getting, if you love clams, and I always tell people, you got to be a clam lover. You're either you love clams or you don't. But if you love clams, you're getting the real freshest, shucked on site clam on top of that pizza. So that was the 60s hit. Okay. And then at the beginning of the century, right when we were expanding and opening those first locations, the grandchildren that currently operate the company, they came up with the fresh tomato pie. And the fresh tomato pie is only available from mid-June to September because it's a backyard beauty tomato and it's the ripest point. So we don't start selling that pizza on a certain date in June. We sell it when the tomatoes are ripe enough to sell it. And it's a white pizza with these fresh backyard beauty tomatoes. They come in whole. We cut them up. We just add a little bit of salt and pepper, a little bit of basil on them. That fresh whole milk mozzarella, those tomatoes on top of it. It is a summer sensation. People call us in the beginning of June. When's the tomato pie coming? When's the tomato pie coming?
Yes.
And the original pizza was actually that's the summer tomato, but the
Mhm.
original pizza was a plain red pie.
Mhm.
Still on the menu today, and that's how Frank started. He knew that pecorino romano that you put on with those fresh tomatoes that were just pureed right there on that fresh dough. And that's just all the natural flavors. We don't over season anything. Everything is ultimately fresh. In the modern day now, we have that tomato pie that runs every single summer, like I said, but we have 3 other quarters in the year. So right now we are cutting cherry tomatoes in half and we are roasting them in the coal-fired oven in the morning. And we have a little pesto drizzle on top of that pie. It's a white pizza with those marinated tomatoes and a little bit of pesto drizzle. That's what I actually had for lunch because I'm at one of the restaurants and
Nice.
my job, unfortunately, is to check all the pizzas.
Uh-oh. I'd be in
I feel
trouble.
sorry for you. Someone has to do it. And it's really brave of you to step up and be
Thanks.
that person
Thanks for
to do
taking
such a
one for the
difficult
team.
Yeah.
job.
So that's I'm a lucky man, I'll tell you.
You are.
So those pizzas that we run the other 3 quarters have appeared on the main menu. So we a couple of years ago we came up with a meatball ricotta pizza, and it's sliced family recipe meatballs with a whole milk ricotta that we just add a little bit of seasonings to. We put a tomato sauce on that. That's a regular traditional pizza. And you get we cut the meatballs a little bit. See, we spend a lot of detail. We cut the meatballs a little bit thicker so they're not like dried out on the pizza. Like we've thought like, you get a meatball pizza. They overcook the meatballs. They're very dry. We do them a little thicker, and with the ricotta and the tomato sauce and all those signature ingredients, it's magic. So we ran that as a special, and then our rewards member were emailing us when we took it away as a special. Where's that pizza? We want that pizza back.
Nice.
Blah, blah, blah. So that's how a pizza will evolve.
Yeah.
And right now we probably have about 6 or 7. We call them our gourmet pies. Then we have some fan favorite combos that people do. Like some people like a chicken and bacon, and they order it so much. So if we've seen people ordering it over and over again, we've put like that pizza I just said, chicken and bacon, on the menu under the fan favorites. So the menu has grown a little bit, but it's never gotten off track from what the original was. We're not going way out on a limb and adding anything that wouldn't be, kind of close to mainstream traditional pizza. Because that's the family. Again, they want to protect their grandfather's legacy, and they don't want to change anything. People have asked us about like gluten-free and stuff like that. And it's just, with respect to the gluten-free crowd, it's just like the family's very tied to their roots. They don't want to switch the dough or anything. They want to stick right to what got us to this point now.
I love that.
I love hearing honoring the legacy, with a 100-year-old brand. Obviously, the simplicity of the pies rings true. That's what shines through in most foods, and almost any really skilled professional chef will tell you that the beauty often lies in the simplicity. And it would be a detriment to all involved to not honor that legacy by branching out to some, like if you were to put rattlesnake on a pizza, you're probably not honoring the legacy any longer, right? So kudos to the family for recognizing the value in upholding that simplicity and that traditional legacy of the founders 100 years ago. Good job.
It's amazing. It's amazing what they've done, and I'm very, very fortunate to be part of it.
As you go into a completely new century with the business, is there anything that you, as a company, you're looking forward to doing in that new century?
Well, you do in business, as we know. If you don't change and evolve, you will get left behind. There's one thing that's never going to change, and that's the pizza. I think we covered that. But we do, we're expanding. Expansion is tough. We are not expanding at a rate where we want to be at 30 stores or 25 stores. We don't set goals like that. We want to pick a nice location that fits what has worked for our other locations. New Haven being a college town, Yale and Quinnipiac, it's everybody's college memory. Oh, I went to college and I got this pizza. New Haven's the pizza capital. So we tend to locate somewhere near like major colleges, and that just keeps it building. Because if you remember a pizza you got in college, that becomes like, it becomes your memory of college. So then they see a Pepe show up. For example, the Yale crowd, Yale is in New Haven. When we expanded to the DC Metro or Florida, as well as up in the Boston market, where do the Yale graduates go to make a living? They go to the big metropolitan areas like I named. And so we know that we open up in those areas, we're going to get an instant group of people that are like, that's the pizza I had in college. You get them in, they bring some friends, you start rolling. If you serve the best pizza, everything will be fine. That's what we always tell our cooks, our managers, all of our leadership. Just take care of the pizza and everything else will take care of itself.
I love it.
That's amazing. Well, Kevin, we thank you so much for hopping on to the podcast with us and talking about the 100-year anniversary. And we look forward to 100 more years of Frank Pepe's.
I really appreciate you having me. It was a lot of fun. And if you know where to find me, you know how to contact me, you have my number. If you're ever in New Haven and you want a grand tour, we'd love to bring you around. You might even meet one of the grandchildren. They're still all around in New Haven checking on their grandfather's pizza. You'd be more than welcome to come up. I'd love to meet you myself.
That's amazing. We'll have to take you up on that sometime. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Have a good day, Kevin.
All right.
All right. See you later. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.